Hi, welcome to Astrobabble. I'm Donna from Danburite Astrology.
And I'm Lynda from Scullywag Astrology.
And today we are going to be talking about the full moon in Sagittarius.
I'm going to bring the chart up.
And I'll talk about the moon mansions. The moon mansion for this fortnight is going to be under the 20th moon mansion called, and I'm not familiar with how to say it, but Alnaam, Alnaam. There's a hyphen in the middle, and it's called the beam. It is the nature of Mars and the moon, so lots of emotional things going on. But what I like about it, it's good for taming animals. It's good for hunting, finding lost things. As long as you are actively looking, you must be looking for them. It's good for incarcerating captives as well. It's good for marriage, but it does have unruly emotions. So you have a hard time keeping your own emotions in check. So keep an eye on that. But otherwise, it's really good. I mean, with your pets and finding lost objects.
Yeah.
If you are searching for something, this would be a good time to do it.
Very nice. So full moons are all about culminations, endings, or like a harvest. This full moon, it's in Sagittarius, so Jupiter is its ruler. It's just unfortunate that Jupiter is in a sign that can't see the full moon, so it kind of can't really assist it, which is a shame. Venus, the other benefic, can't see it as well. It's also an aversion in Cancer.
That's not ideal to not have the benefics able to see the full moon.
Yeah, and its ruler as well, which happens to be a benefic. Yeah, it's a shame.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, Saturn is squaring it, and Mars, the other malefic, is trining it.
So a little uneasy.
Just wondering, maybe there'll be a bit of haste or rushing concerning this full moon and the events or significations it brings, and maybe just being tripped up by Saturn with those limitations. Anyway, shall we have a look and see what we think about the horoscopes for this lunation?
That sounds great. If you are a Sagittarius rising, this is going to be happening in your first house. And this is where things are culminating with things that you're changing or acquiring for just yourself, because the first house is all about yourself. So if you've taken a class, or you might be finishing it, if this is a good time also to finally get in and get that haircut that you've been wanting to get. It's the thing that you've started at working towards to do for yourself that are finally going to realize.
Very good. And if you are a Scorpio ascendant, this full moon is happening in your second house. The second house is our income, finances, possessions, and resources. So there might be a high point or an ending to do with one of these matters. Maybe there's been a source of income that comes to an end at this time, or maybe you've been working towards gaining another source of income or a possession or some type of resource. Maybe this is a time when what you've been working towards comes to some sort of fruition. So matters to do with personal finances, income, resources, some sort of high point or focus on there.
And if you are a Libra rising, this is going to be happening in your third house. This is the house of either younger education, could be short travel. It could as well have to do with your brothers and sisters, or aunts and uncles, but your family. I was just noticing that there is like none of the planets have a lot of essential dignity. The most essential dignity is the moon and Saturn at 1. So this is not a lot of strong energy here, but it is kind of mediocre. But anyways, getting back to the third house, if you are a Libra rising, this is going to be culminating. Could be your kids in school when they're wrapping up the summer, or trying to wrap up the school year for the summer. They could be having shows, and what kind of talent shows and stuff like that they have, or singing choir, or some kind of pageantry that might be going on at the schools. Yeah, this would be a good time for that. As well as anything that of short travel. So if you've got maybe your car, maybe you have a car that you're wanting to buy. If you are a Libra rising, it might be finally in the shop or ready to be taken possession of.
Yeah. I was just thinking, moon in the third, it's in its joy there. So this might be quite beneficial. Like, you would hope it was beneficial in general anyway, but yeah, the moon does have her joy in the third. And for Libra risings, Sagittarius is the third house. So yeah. And if you are a Virgo ascendant, this full moon is happening in your fourth house. The fourth house is our parents, family in general. It's also our home, our living circumstances, and real estate matters, also heritage, homeland, that sort of thing too. It's a very private part of our chart, even though it's angular. So there could be something coming to some sort of culmination or high point. It may not concern you at all. It could be your parents that are kind of coming to some sort of high point, or, some sort of kind of summit that they've been trying to reach. Maybe that's all to do with them, or it could be to do with your home, your living situation. Yeah, maybe you're finally moving into that house, or you've just signed the lease, or, you put in a bid on a property and it comes, through at this time.
And if you are a Leo rising, this is going to happen in your fifth house. The fifth house is the house of creativity. It's also the house of children. So things will be coming together of what you've been working on. Whatever you started at the new moon should be coming together right about now with the full moon in your fifth house if you are a Leo rising. So that's, if you started an art project, if you have started a hobby, if you are like a bowling league or something like that, that would fit in this. So this would be where those things are finally, after you've been working since the new moon to get going, this is when you're going to see or start seeing the benefits of that work.
Mm. And that would be the new moon in Sagittarius, which would have been what? Oh, about December?
Yep.
Mm. Late
September
November,
or
early
yeah,
December.
late
Yeah.
November.
Yeah. So about 6 months prior. And if you are a Cancer ascendant, this full moon is happening in your sixth house. The sixth house is one of the more problematic houses. It is associated with illness. It's also pets, employees, can also be those that work for you or with you. Also the house of service. So this relates to people that, like emergency service people, or in professions such as doctors, nurses, policemen, fire people, all that sort of thing. This could be something like a graduation ceremony. This could be reaching a high point. Maybe you've been accepted into the academy. Maybe, you've just gone through some test and passed it. Or, it could be something to do with a health matter. Hopefully, it would be nice if it was an end or a completion of an illness, but maybe for some that have been dealing with those sorts of things, it may be a time when the treatment comes to an end and hopefully, resolves successfully. But yeah, high points, culminations, or endings to do with those topics.
And if you are a Gemini rising, this is going to be happening in your seventh house. The seventh house is the house of the other, the house where you have the committed relationships, whether, and not necessarily a significant romantic relationship. It can also well be partners and business things, doctors, lawyers. If you have a relationship where they have to meet you, or you have set some time that they are specifically meeting with you, that's the relationship where this house falls. So did I say doctors? Yeah, because if you set up an appointment, this is where that seventh house falls. So things will be coming to fruition when it comes into this house.
And if you are a Taurus ascendant, this full moon is happening in your eighth house. The eighth house is another problematic house. It's associated with mortality.
There's a lot of planets in that house, and I wouldn't be surprised if things weren't a bit shocking
In the first, yeah,
with Uranus right there.
yeah,
Uranus,
yeah.
Uranus and Mercury. So
Mhm.
those are just extra energies in there.
Yeah, the eighth house is other people's money, shared finances, shared resources. It can be the partner's money and resources. So there could be a high point or culmination to do with those matters. It could be your partner's coming into some money, whether that's through a bonus at work or something similar. This is also the house to do with inheritance. It is also loans, debts, taxes. So a high point culmination or ending to do with these matters. As Donna said, it may be something a little bit surprising. You do have Mercury and Uranus very close together in the first house. This could be loans approved. You find out that, that will that you've been kind of battling with someone perhaps, comes to some sort of completion. Or, it could be that you've had this large debt that you've been working away at, and finally it's paid off, sort of thing. So, high points, culminations, or endings to do with shared finances and resources, other people's money.
Very nice. And if you are an Aries rising, this is going to be happening in the ninth house, which is the house of publishing, as well as foreign travel, foreigner, anything to do with foreigners. If you, if you belong to a group where you entertain people from out of the country, this would be under this rule. It's also the legal system, as well as esoteric subjects. So anything that you had started 6 months ago at the new moon in Sagittarius, this is when it should all be coming together for you for this full moon,
Very nice.
if you are an Aries rising.
If you are a Pisces rising, this full moon is happening in your 10th house. This is a very, very public, visible house. And during the full moon, we've got full light. So 10th house is what you're known for. It's public reputation and often career. So there's often, with full moons, it's completion, high point, or an ending. So there could be something happening regarding work. Maybe you've been working on a large project and that's wrapped up at this time. It's also the house of honors and rewards. So maybe you're recognized for something at this time. Also, unfortunately, the house of infamy. So, if you've been misbehaving, you could be caught out at this time quite publicly. But hopefully for most people, it wouldn't have anything to do with that. As I said, it's a very, very visible house. At the full moon, we've got the moon with a maximum amount of light. So you're getting a lot of attention at this time, hopefully for very good reasons. But, there is that caution. If you're doing something that you possibly shouldn't be doing, this could be a time where you're kind of exposed.
Very nice. Take that warning if you are a Pisces rising. And if you're an Aquarius rising, you might be going through a bit of a change in your life. Chances are you are, with Pluto hovering right there. But the full moon is going to be taking place in the house, in the 11th house of hopes and dreams, as well as friends, groups, and acquaintances. So I would expect that you could possibly find some transformation happening, maybe possibly with your groups and friends and the people that support you. That's from the 11th house. That's where you're going to get this energy from.
And if you are a Capricorn rising, this full moon is happening in your 12th house. The 12th house is associated with our undoing. It's things like addiction, self-defeating habits, escapism, places of confinement such as prisons or hospitals. And it is also rest and retreat, exile. So there may be endings, culminations or high points to do with these matters. So hidden illnesses, things like anxiety or mental health issues would also be in this 12th house, as opposed to your more physical, more easily identifiable illnesses, which would be 6th house. You may be, if you've been battling addiction or wanting to overcome a bad habit, this could be a time where, maybe you reach that 28 days or whatever is considered a significant milestone for recovery. It may be, if you've been attending, having to go to hospital or been in hospital for a certain amount of time regarding illness, this may be a time when you're actually released. High points, culminations, endings. This could be that you've been working behind the scenes. Just looking at Jupiter in the 5th, for some it may have been matters to do with creativity. Maybe you've locked yourself away to work on some project, and this is the time when you come away, come back into the light again. Sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? Full moon, high points. I'm a Capricorn ascendant. I kind of can't relate to any of that, but yeah, you could also just go way overboard and overindulge. I think we've got a Venus Jupiter coming up, which I always think of the Hangover. So
I was looking at that myself.
So yeah,
like,
so
ooh, this could be a rough one for some people.
Yeah, this could be overcoming something, or it could be just like, yeah, you really went hard. You know what they say, go hard or go home. Yeah, maybe you just go really hard. Which doesn't sound
something definitely to watch out for.
Yeah, well, the 12th house is always a little bit challenging, but it depends on a lot of factors in your chart. So, but generally speaking, yeah, maybe you're getting ready to make a splash at the full moon in, must be next month, the full moon in Capricorn. Maybe you've been working hard.
Nice.
We'll see. Well,
we all have free choice.
We do. Donna, I believe you have a stone for us.
I do. And because it's Sagittarius, I picked out this stone. I know that since COVID, a lot of people that I have talked to are having a hard time getting out of their house, getting back into the social life, going out and meeting other people. Just getting out, just walking out the door is sometimes hard for some people. And this stone, it is called Danburite. And you can see that facet. It's very much like a chisel, kind of an angle.
Yeah.
I did a blog post on my website a long time ago about the angles, on how important they are to on how important they are. They are important with stones, they are important with astrology. And because of the angle that this has, this facet is a very flat one, and that is the growth pattern to Danburite. That is how it grows. This also has another there's my stickers. I have them all over because I don't want to undo the I don't want to take them off, because I want to know that these stones are, because when you have like, I don't know, 12 clear stones, you're going to need some kind of a system. So I just leave the tags on. But they have that chisel kind of flat edge that is indicative of them. And this stone has an orthorhombic and prismatic crystal system. And I have littler ones, and it is of the element of the wind. It can be wine yellow color, so it's like a pale yellow color. It can also be a pale pink color, clear to white, as these are. Sorry. Anyway, they have a striation. You can tell that they're unlike quartz, which has the striations that go horizontal to them. These are these go right with, almost parallel to how it grows, because it, this, if this is the matrix, I have one that has, it can show the matrix. Yeah, this one, see where the matrix is right there, so it grows up like this. Okay, that's how it
Oh,
grows. It is with the wind element. It's also it's the prismatic, it's orthorhombic and prismatic crystal systems. And this is how you can tell what stones are what. If you don't keep them marked, this is how you can tell with these little striations. Anyways, was originally found back in the day in Danburite, Connecticut. That's where it was first found. It has since been found in Mexico, has the largest mine. Russia, Madagascar, Bolivia, Burma, and Japan all have found this stone in their ground. It has a high frequency for light energy. It also is a good stone to use for it. It works with the heart, on the heart chakra, but it also goes from the seventh all the way up, because there's many more up there beyond the seven that we normally you associate with chakras. There are many more that go way up there. And let's see, it can easily it helps with communication with the higher, the divine. So if you're looking for divine intervention, this is also good for protection. It's good for grief, fear, anxiety, resentment, and anger. So if you have any of those, what I think I'm going to do is work on putting a grid together. And I'll do this grid, and if you can just sit with it for a few minutes, it may help you if you're having trouble getting out of the house. If you are one of those people that since COVID, you're like, yeah, I don't really feel like it, try looking at the grid, and it might, I can't do any guarantees. It very well might ease that anxiety that you might get if you are leaving your house for a period of time. If you have been having trouble. So, and it's called Danburite. And it's from Danburite, Connecticut. So that is the stone. And I thought it was for Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is known for traveling. So this is a great
yeah.
traveling stone. So I picked it.
I was just thinking when you were talking about that, like I was having trouble with Capricorn ascendants with the full moon in the 12th house, and what they might actually be overcoming. And actually, that really fits in well if they're having trouble leaving the house. I mean, they've been in that 12th. Well, they haven't been, but for this full moon, it is in the 12th house. And you mentioned anxiety, which is also something that's very 12th house matter. So maybe particularly for Capricorn ascendants, if that is something that you're
Dealing with.
yeah, challenged by, it might be helpful.
Yeah. It's called Danburite. It's a great stone. It's one of my I pretty much carry this in my kit when I do layouts. It's a stone that a lot of people just need it just to step out and get out there.
Very interesting. Yeah.
And it's hard. It's got like a Mohs hardness of 7 to 7.5. So it's even harder than quartz crystal.
Nice. Very nice.
Wouldn't necessarily use it for jewelry, but it could be. I mean, it's pretty, but I'm not so sure somebody would want to, wear like a hunk of that. It just looks like a piece of ice.
Yeah. Well, maybe if it was polished, and that could be nice ring or something, or earrings.
Yeah. So yeah.
Nice.
And it comes from yellow to pale pink to colorless and white. So
yeah. Very nice.
And I will have an article on here, and I will definitely do a grid.
Okay, that sounds good.
And if it works and helps you, please comment, because
Yeah, that would be great.
A lot of people don't realize or understand the impact stones and crystals can have on their health, their well-being, their mental focus, their mental well-being, their, just all in touch with all that stuff. And it's, if I can get the word out there that these stones really are working well, it would, I think a lot of people that would otherwise not even think about, picking up a rock and working with it, actually might.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm just thinking, I had some rose quartz out. I had them here and then I put them outside. And then the eclipse was coming up. And then I was just sitting out there and I said, oh my God, I better get them inside. But now I lost one. So yeah, I better find it again. Yes.
Well, this would be a good moon mansion to find it.
Ah, very good. Very good. Yes.
There you
A
go.
couple other things I'd like to find too. I'll have to put my searching into action. So when is this? This isn't for a while because we're doing this early. When is it? The 5th?
Yeah, the moon mansion is, it's all going to start on the 3rd of June. And right now it's the 25th of June, 24th. 24th for me, but 25th for you.
Yes. 25th. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's just gone over into the 25th here. Yeah.
Yep. So after June, start looking for your stuff.
Yeah. Yes, I'll be very pleased if I find my stuff. Anyway. Oh, and how did you go with all that Mars, Pluto, Jupiter stuff?
They're pretty much okay. I felt a lot of things going on around me. We Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, we painted a boat. So that was
Okay.
big, transformative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, if you work with the energies, know they're coming, you can try to, all right, what are we going to transform with this?
I got very
You
domestic. It was
certainly don't,
very
you
weird.
certainly don't want to be caught surprised by a big transformation. If
Yeah.
you're planning for that big transformation, it's all good.
Yeah. I cleaned and tidied and did a lot of that stuff. It was very weird. I thought to myself, is the moon in Virgo? What's happening to me? But it wasn't. But it was good because
Yeah.
I didn't have anything. But yeah, a lot of people around me.
I do frequently, go through something in life and go, I wonder what
Mm.
planets are,
Oh, yeah.
aspecting out there. And sure enough, you can find it. If it's not a planet that's aspecting by itself, it's aspecting and hitting your chart. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you can always find it.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, shall we have a look at the upcoming aspects?
Sounds great.
Just let me,
There's a lot of them. This is not going to be a sleepy month like it's been lately.
yeah, a lot of changes. So the first one
Okay.
is going to be Mercury conjunct Uranus, which I always think is quite fun. Oh, in Taurus. So, Taurus isn't particularly quick sign for Mercury to be in, but yeah. Mercury and Uranus, inventive thinking, unusual thinking. Just aha moments.
It's also good for increased mental capacity. It's as well good for if people suffer with monkey brain, this is probably going to hit because it's just a lot of chatter. It's you got Jupiter in the same sign, so
Yeah.
um
What do you mean by monkey brain? Just like easily distracted or?
have you ever like woken up in like the middle of the night and you're like, okay, and I need to buy bread and I need to dust to this and I need to get that for this and and you just like kind of it's that inside chatter for
Oh,
in your
yeah.
brain. That's what I call monkey brain. It's like and there it's just constant. And so that's if you are suffering from that, um I would go with Celeste. I would use Celestite. That might help you calm it down a bit.
Yeah. I think this would,
Then you got the blue stones.
I think they would almost exacerbate that at the moment, though, wouldn't it? The
Yeah,
Mercury Uranus. Yeah. Yeah. It is in,
yeah, it will
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Can be mentally exhausting. I know that when I have days where Mercury's being just ricocheted all over the place, it's like, I'm driving here, driving there. People are contacting me. People are ringing me. We texting this, that, that. And sometimes I'll just come home and just go, just leave me alone. Nobody talk to me. Don't look at me. Don't think about me. I don't want to hear anything. Just leave me alone for, at least an hour or so. And for some people, this will be very much like that. I think it can be very jangled nerves. I mean, it is in Taurus, which is not an overly quick moving sign. It is more, and particularly Mercury in Taurus, I think of this isn't the quick uptake. This is, okay, we're going to take longer to learn this and absorb this and understand this. But once we know it, we know it. I think this could be quite uncomfortable for some people, but generally speaking, I kind of like this, trying to think if we've got anything interfering with it. Not really. But yeah, that Jupiter in there as well, very close to the North Node. Still a lot going on in Taurus.
There is. There is. But whatever you do learn, it will stay with you, as Lynda said.
As long as you're not too exhausted to realize what's happening. Oh my.
Maybe we'll just learn what exhaustion feels like. Hopefully
Yeah.
that won't stay with you.
And then we have
And
Venus
then
moving into Leo.
Venus in Leo, it's you want to do and you want to shine with your friends. You want to or a beautification project, maybe an art project, a painting. But it's socially wanting to shine. So however that resonates with you and however you want to address that, but that's the energy of this. It's, just wanting to shine, but it's running right into Mars, so
Yeah.
that might bring it down a little bit.
Yeah. Mind you, Venus and Mars, they are a pair, it's kind of sexy. We've just had Venus prior to this in kind of homey Cancer. It's like, we had it in Gemini prior to that, which is very flirty. Then it was kind of like the stay-at-home snuggle type. And now it's kind of like, here I am, I'm back, wanting attention. It can be quite dramatic. So yeah, it's a fun position. It's wherever Leo is in your chart, because Venus is one of the benefics. It does tend to bring good things. So we're not talking huge windfalls or anything, but, you could expect nice things to do with the topics of wherever Leo is in your chart. There may be some benefit there or, gift or kind of just ease of being or kind of social contacts with people or topics associated with that house, maybe just more harmonious.
This is also the sign where Venus is going to go retrograde later this year.
Good point.
So
Yes.
June 5th, it goes into Leo. I have that it goes into its retrograde shadow period on June 19th. It'll also, and then it'll officially go retrograde July 22nd, and then get out of the retrograde period about September 3rd.
Yep.
And it will finally end the shadow period of getting out of the retrograde thing October 7th. So this is going to be a long time in Leo. It's from basically till now when it goes in June 5th, and it won't. When does Venus get out of Leo? I'm not sure.
8th of
I don't have that.
October. 8th of October I've got written here. So we've got Venus in Leo for like 4 months, because it must retrograde at quite a late degree. Actually, let's see.
Yeah,
it's going to get to 28 Leo before it retrogrades. So it gets almost all the way through, and then it retrogrades.
Mars did the same thing in Gemini. It went all the way almost to the end, and then it retrograded and just stayed in one sign. And that is really weird, because a lot of times they like move over signs, like Pluto is, going between two signs. this is going to concentrate on just one house of yours, wherever your Leo house is. It's just going to be right there, just like Gemini, or just like Mars was with Gemini. So it's going to stay in Leo. So get comfortable with it. At least it's a benefic planet, so that's nice.
Yeah. But I mean, when it is retrograde, we will be reevaluating matters to do with relationships, but also our values, what we think about art, beauty, all those sorts of things. Starting from the shadow period, which isn't in this one. When's the next new moon? It must be about the 17th or something. So it must be just after the next new moon that retrograde shadow period for Venus will start. But relationships kind of started under a Venus retrograde don't have a great history of lasting the distance, because everybody will be undergoing this, reevaluating those sorts of things. So yeah, let's get used to Venus in the house of Leo for a while.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's a benefic.
Yeah, it's always good.
Yeah, if you're going to have a planet retrograding in one house, let it be a benefic.
Yeah, and I mean, Venus comes back, I think, to a very similar place every 8 years. So, if you think back 8 years ago, what was happening, there might be some sort of callback to that sort of thing. I also believe Venus and Mars have some sort of weird relationship where they do something, but I can't remember exactly what that is. I need to look that up. But yeah, Venus does retrograde about the same place every 8 years. And it's got a really interesting, what would you call it? If you look at it,
Pattern.
yes, the retrograde pattern over the 5 years, it's really quite pretty. We should maybe do an episode on Venus retrograde. Could
Yeah,
be interesting.
that would be great.
Venus only retrogrades.
I'll look into my past of what's been going on during those retrogrades.
Yeah, well, looking back at 8-year periods would be really interesting too. Venus is really interesting, retrograde for about 40 days. A lot of interesting myths about that. I think we could totally do an episode about that.
Yeah, Venus is she's got a lot going for her. I mean, she's well, right now she's prominent in the sky. She's just with the moon
Yes, yes.
today. Like, not on this chart, but today.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she's very bright out there currently. It's like you look out and like, yep, there's Venus. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about her, for sure.
Yeah. And she'll be going under the beams soonish. When does it go? When is the retrograde period? Not until July, because that sun will come along and get close. Once it gets too close to the sun, it gets swallowed up. Can't see it.
And then the next aspect we have is Venus is opposing Pluto. And this is just indicative of manipulation. It as well as signifies intense relationships or a relationship that intensifies.
Yeah, I often see this as kind of jealousy, possessiveness, all those kind of darker themes of relationships, obsession, which, can be, particularly if you kind of, that can be very alluring, but, it depends, as long as it stays within your realm of acceptable. Once it kind of gets beyond that, it's kind of like, yeah, no. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing this.
Yeah, depth, honesty, transformation. It's interesting that not long after this, Pluto is going to duck back into Capricorn. Venus is going to, she's kind of entered the sign where she's going to retrograde. So, there's going to be a reevaluation. I'm just kind of thinking, particularly, if you start a relationship at this time, even though it's outside even the shadow period of retrograde, it could be intense, and that can be fantastic, but damn, that can be exhausting. And then you've got this whole retrograde period where both of you are kind of, reevaluating, and yeah. And then we've got Mars. It's not super close to that Venus, but yeah, this could be a very interesting day. I mean, Jupiter's at 4 degrees Taurus. It's squaring it. It's not super close, but we're not beyond all those tensions. It's just like we swapped out Mars for Venus, really. Jupiter is still there. It is 4 degrees away, but still close. But I think I'd rather deal with that Venus squared Jupiter than Mars squared Jupiter.
Exactly.
Mm. Yeah, it just could be intense. Yeah.
It could be, but with the aspect with Pluto, be careful of getting into situations where you can be manipulated or
Yeah.
overpowered, as well as power struggles
Mm. This is
in
also
business. I mean,
mm,
it's all that energy.
this is depth and honesty and transformation. Yeah, because I mean, even opening yourself up and being vulnerable can feel very scary for a lot of people. So, and a lot of people don't like intensity.
A
Even
lot
if,
of people feel uncomfortable with it.
yeah, even if this is kind of something you see come along and you're like, well, yeah, this is good. Your partner or partners may not enjoy that as much and may get a lot of kickback for it. So,
Whenever these planets, so Venus is going to move into a new sign on June 5th. So, be sure to journal, because what these transits do, if you can figure out, and the reason I say journal, it's either that you can either journal by writing or journal by taking pictures. But whatever you're doing, you can always go back to that and go, what was I doing back then? What did this mean? And it clearly shows you what these transits and how they manifest in your life. And if they tend to typically always go good, then they're typically going to always go good. If they typically go, south on you, then to shore up your support, and know that this is going to be a rough transit. I mean, even though people don't typically always have a headache, but when you do, you go for the aspirin, the breath of fresh air, whatever it does, a nap, whatever it does to get rid of the headache. So you just know what you need to have in your arsenal behind you when these challenging things happen. So just kind
yeah.
of be aware of them.
Mm.
You can overcome them.
Yeah, though, I mean, last time Venus was in Leo, we wouldn't have Pluto opposite either. So,
This
yeah.
would be a little bit more intense than that.
Mind you, Pluto's going to move backwards. Oh, I was going to say that was a really interesting idea, saying looking back at photos, because not everybody journals or not everybody's consistent at that, but like a lot of people take photos. And yeah, that's a really interesting concept. I like it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. On that might be on part of that Leo Venus thing. I don't know where Venus was at the time, but it was a really amazing. I was really shocked when we had made a move, and when I went back in my pictures and my photos,
Mm.
we were in the area, and we're like, let's check that place out. And I was like, no, I don't really want to check the whole, I don't want to spend the time to check that place out. Sure enough, we moved there that
Mm.
following full moon. I was really shocked. I was just shocked that things actually do. If you and it was just a piece. I had just taken a picture, like, this is where we are. And then 6 months later, we were moved there. And at that time, 6 months, I wasn't that committed to this place, where I didn't even really want to go up to the place. I
Mhm.
was just kind of in the area.
Yeah.
It was shocking to me that it actually does work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Astrology actually does work.
No, it's amazing
So yeah.
sometimes.
It is. It really is.
No, I really like that
And I
idea.
found that out through photos. It's
Mm,
like,
mm,
where was I when, that was a full moon or a new moon?
mm.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Anyway, so, and however you journal, or you could paint it for, what you did, but it's good to journal so that you can go back and you go, that's where that came from. Or if you've done something 6 months ago and then you're at that full moon part and you're like, do I do this or do I do that? You're like, oh wow, I was here 6 months ago wondering the same exact question. I wonder if that's,
Mm,
a sign that this is probably something that I should be working on because I've been here before.
mm. Well, I just like the idea that most phones will keep your photos, documented what days and that. It's just like, yeah, that's a really brilliant idea. I really like it. Man,
Next aspect is Mercury sextile Uranus.
Neptune.
And this, yeah.
Mercury sextile Neptune.
Oh, sorry. Mercury sextile Neptune.
And this is what it does to
And
you.
this
It
is,
confuses you.
yeah, see there you go.
Yeah.
And this is good for intuition. It's also good for, communication in a subliminal way.
Great for creativity. It's a very dreamy aspect. Neptune can be very idealistic. It's very altruistic. Can be wildly romantic. It's creative. It's very foggy though. It's hard to see with Neptune. This isn't the time to sit down and do your taxes, but it's a good time to daydream. It's a good time to, just let your mind wander. For some people, it might really inspire you to be very charitable or spiritual or that sort of thing. Yeah, but yeah, nice creative vibe. Not good for strict logic though.
No. And it's a sextile, so it's a mild transit. It's not going to be very, very hard and impactful. Um, but it will just make those kinds of things a little bit easier to attain, that
Yeah, and Mercury's
communication.
moving
And
pretty quickly at this time, so I'm just looking at that Mercury. It's sitting not far from Algol. So Algol's a fixed star. It's like don't lose your head. So yeah, daydreaming is very nice, but if you're gonna act on these daydreams or whatever, make sure your feet are planted on solid ground.
yeah, with a sextile to Neptune, I can see why you would say don't lose your head.
Mm. Oh well, I mean it's on Algol, it's degree off or something, but yeah.
Yeah. And
Ah,
then the next aspect we've all been waiting for. It's Pluto jumps back into Capricorn. It's trying to get us through a process of going past that hurdle, that barrier of the line between Capricorn and Aquarius, and it's now back in Capricorn, where it's been for the last 10, 12 years. I think
since
since
about
2008, right?
2008. Yeah, it's a long
So
time.
it's yeah, the reason why we have the retrogrades is the planets are trying to get us to go back and readdress some things. And that's what Pluto is doing. And it must be saying that it wants those Capricorn-ish ideas, like the structure, the politics of countries are built under the Capricorn, because it's the sign that kind of makes the rules and puts the policies in place. And this might be time when countries are reevaluating their policies.
If you've got planets at the late degrees of Capricorn, guess what? He's back. The outer planets do go over. They retrograde so slowly. They just move so slowly in general that when they do retrograde, allowing a degree or two either side of the natal planet that they're retrograding over, you might get 5 hits, whereas a normal retrograde, you will get 3 hits. So when the outers are retrograding either directly or through a square or an opposition, you really kind of get to feel the impact. People with earlier degrees of Capricorn, they've had those 5 or 4 hits to the natal planet. You're probably done. There might be wrapping up of topics and that. But if you've got natal planets at the late degrees of Capricorn, here he comes again, just to make sure that, you know, nothing. I'm just thinking of like the, you know, when they salt the ground after they, you know, armies come through and they just destroy everything, and then they salt the ground so you can't
Grow anything?
yeah. um, Pluto is supposed to be able to rebuild afterwards. It just feels like they've salted the ground. Pluto's going to retrograde back as far as about 27 degrees. It will be in Capricorn until the 20th of January, when it moves into Aquarius again. It will stay there till the 1st of September 2024, when it retrogrades back into Capricorn again. And it doesn't leave Capricorn for like another 250 years, until 19th of November 2024.
Aquarius.
Well, that's when it will leave Capricorn and it will enter Aquarius on the 19th of November 2024. So if you've got late degrees of Capricorn, it's not going to leave Capricorn totally until the 19th of November 2024. So, So yeah, late degree Capricorns, you know, he's coming back for another hit. So
Something is needing to change in all of our charts. Not it happens with it's going to happen with everybody, and it's going to be more impactful for sure if you, like Lynda said, if you have late degree planets in any of the cardinal signs.
yeah.
Um
Yeah.
and we all have to change. I just really wonder. I wonder what is going to be the big thing that it wants everybody to change.
Yeah, I don't know. It will depend, you know, if you have planets at the late degrees of the cardinal signs, or, you know, chart points like your ascendant or midheaven on a world stage, mundanely speaking. Hard to say. As you say, maybe it will be governments and that. Yeah, you know, I think the direct pass over it is stronger than the opposition and the squares, but certainly the oppositions and the squares to this will also be feeling it. And even the trines and the sextiles. I've had a trine from Pluto, which, you know, certainly packed a punch, you know, but having said that, I've had it going over my ascendant. Actually, I'm not going to jinx myself, so I'm just going to be quiet.
More rules to follow, I'm thinking, with this transit.
New rules?
Yeah, more rules. I don't know why. I mean, I think of Capricorn as rules, the things that you have to follow, the policies that were made, that type of thing.
Well, I kind of agree with you. Like on Capricorn, I see Capricorn as like the establishment, and Aquarius as beyond that. That's your revolutionaries, your guerrilla warfare, all that sort of stuff, your renegades. So, yeah.
Lynda, you and I did a video on the Sibley chart on the houses. So if you're not familiar with the houses, revisit that one. But the United States was going through a revolution when Pluto was in Capricorn. And then when it got into Aquarius is actually when we wrote, you know, the Bill of Rights and got all that established. So
Interesting.
it is indicative of establishing whatever that is.
Phoenix from the flames. Stay strong, Capricorn ascendants.
Yeah. I'm sure they will. They're Capricorns.
Yes. And then something a little bit nicer. Mercury trine Pluto on the 11th. Oh, okay. N degrees of Taurus. Yeah.
Both earth signs.
This will be interesting.
Something tangible.
We've already got the sun in Gemini, and then we're going to have Mercury moving into Gemini. So we're emptying out that Taurus house. So things might start actually moving. But before we do that, we've got Pluto and Mercury together. So powerful thinking, transformative thinking. That Mercury has not long ago had its conjunction with Uranus. So that innovative thought, unusual thought, revolutionary thought, aha moments. And now it's coming up and it's got that kind of power behind it, or that transformative energy. Yeah.
I like this for learning something new. It had just experienced Uranus, close together. So with the Pluto and the Mercury, it's a good time to learn something new to maybe carry on of what you would help you, advance whatever your goal is.
Yeah, it could be, could be. That Mercury is soon to go into Gemini, where it is actually domicile, with very powerful position. And I mean, it's only a minute out. When we say a minute, we're talking an astrological minute, which doesn't equal a literal minute. So
A world minute
mm.
does not equal 60 seconds.
No, no.
Well, does not equal 60 seconds in our time.
Mm, mm. So yes, that happens. Is that just later that day? Yeah. So has its trine at 6:12 a.m. and then it moves into Gemini, 15 minutes later. So yeah,
Wow.
Mercury in Gemini, it's in its own sign here. It's with the sun, but it's not too close to the sun that it's going to suffer.
It can definitely be heard in Gemini because in Gemini, Mercury has all the tools that it likes to use. It's got its favorite knives, hammers, screwdrivers, whatever it uses. It's got them all accessible. This is the sign that it rules. It's the sign that it's at home in. So it functions. It doesn't function with a whole bunch of baggage. It functions as pure as it can in its own sign. So it definitely is, I maybe a chance for any kind of communications. If you wanted to start planning for communications, this would be when when Mercury goes into Gemini, that's when it's going to be most effective. So plan for that.
Yeah. And
On June 11th, because this whole day, June 11th, it has, I don't know, one, two, three, four planetary movements in just this one day. So it's going to feel very busy
yeah, busy day.
on June 11th.
Yeah, whenever I have a kind of busy day and running around and doing this and communications, I always think, where is Mercury? What's it doing? Or what's happening to my Mercury? But yeah, this is, for want of a better word, it's the kind of masculine expression of Mercury, the feminine or yin or more receptive. Mercury's more feminine domicile would be Virgo. But yeah, this is active, it's young, it's light on its feet. I like it. Maybe more thinking and communications over the next 3 weeks or so with topics associated with the house that has Gemini in your natal chart. It's
Very
coming
nice. I
for
think
it.
it's a transit to look forward to.
What is our next retrograde? Not until August, because we're going to have that superior conjunction, aren't we? Because Mercury's going to come up and pass that sun. So yeah, it will probably the first 4 or 5 days before it goes under the beams. So that would be good. Get those bright ideas started and before it kind of gets under the beams. Though it's in its own sign, so it's not going to suffer from being under the beams and combust as much. It's in its chariot.
Very nice. I like this transit.
Aha. And here's our hangover aspect. Venus squared
Venus
Jupiter.
squares.
Also on the 11th.
Yes.
Yeah.
For those who think that it's been a huge day, when you sit down with that bottle of wine, share it with like 3 other people.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a huge day. It's just this is an aspect where overindulging is definitely a concern. If you go shopping, make sure you have a list in your hand before you even go. You don't want to do the overindulgence, and this is a day where it could pop out. So if you know that ahead of time, don't buy the 12 cases of tomatoes thinking that you're gonna can them because you could be overdoing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Or
kind
not. I mean, but it's possible that you could be.
Yeah, I kind of call it like the hangover because it's too much of a good thing. But it doesn't have to be drinking or whatever. It could be overeating. It could be overexerting yourself with it, anything, whatever that Venus represents to you. And that Jupiter is just kind of like, yeah, we're really enjoying this. Let's keep going. Yeah, that's a really good idea. And yeah, it can be just tummy ache. Yeah, no, too much of a good thing. You had a good time, but you may pay for it later.
And then we get a break for about 4 days. And
Yeah.
then Mercury squares Saturn. That's discipline thinking. That's studying. That screams homework to me.
Yeah, this is kind of feeling limited, restricted, and thinking. Your thinking may be a little bit more pessimistic at this time. You know, Mercury's in Gemini. It's just moved into the bounds of Jupiter. It's quite enthusiastic, but maybe there's someone or something telling you, hey, you can't do that. You've got to consider this, this, and this. There's laws, there's rules, there's all these things that you need to follow. And yeah, that could be rather demoralizing, a little bit
Yeah.
somber.
But if you're around places that need changing, this is a good day to look at those things of the darker side that you normally don't focus on, so that you can get things changed.
Saturn's got the upper hand in this case. It is in the superior position. Mercury's very strong, though, so that is helpful. But yeah, I think this is just a little bit of a downer. What you felt so enthusiastic about may just seem a little bit harder, a little bit more red tape and all that stuff that you need to go through. And it's just, huh, damn, it's not going to be as easy as I thought, or it's not going to be as smooth sailing. But, you'll rebound, don't worry. Mercury's moving pretty quick, 182% of its usual speed. So you'll soon break away from
Yes,
that pressing Saturn.
quickly.
And speaking of which, this is much nicer.
Oh,
This
heck
is,
yes.
how many days later is this? 2 days later? Yeah, 2 days
And
later.
yeah, 2 days later.
2 days later, we have Mercury sextiling Venus, which is much nicer. It's already moved almost, 3.5 degrees, 3.5 degrees, over 3.5 degrees away from Saturn. It said, see you later. And
Yeah.
now it's sweet talking Venus.
It is. It is. If you are in a relationship, this is a good time, and you haven't expressed those I love yous yet, this might be the day that you hear them. This is the Venus is that social planet, and Mercury is that communication, and Venus signifies the beauty in your life, the love in your life, the social aspects of your life. And with Mercury communicating, this might be a very good day to hear those nicer words.
And Venus and Leo, she does like to hear those nice words. So yeah, this is nice. This would be nice for a party or catching up with people. Yeah, it's just nice.
Saturn is stationing retrograde.
Oh, I forgot to put that in. Huh.
The 17th.
Fancy me forgetting about Saturn. So Saturn's going to
Stationing.
station. See, I don't think I have the dates. Is it going to go back into? No, it's going to stay in Pisces, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to go back all the way to 0 degrees of Pisces, but it won't go back into Aquarius. So yes, wherever Pisces is in your chart, you may be feeling limited, restricted, having to review Saturnian matters, your limitations, restrictions. Could be a good opportunity to go back and make sure that those things are shored up, that they're built on solid ground. But how long is
All
Saturn
those people who
retrograde
have
for?
Saturn natally in Aquarius can take a breather, a sigh of relief. It's staying in Pisces, and Saturn's not going to move out into another sign like Pluto is going to. It's going
Mm,
to stay in Pisces. It's hovering right over Fomalhaut, so that's nice. You gotta like that. It's one of the Fomalhaut is one of the original four royal stars, right?
yeah.
Is that what they call them? Royal stars. Um, yeah, so hopefully it's not going to be too bad of a retrograde.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really notice Saturn retrogrades. I think it's one of those things too, if it's happening over a natal planet or chart point, you probably feel it more.
I agree. I don't notice the Saturn retrogrades like I know like we all notice the Mercury retrogrades
Yeah.
and Saturn it can go back and forth and it really doesn't well, it's so restrictive anyways. It just is readdressing those things that you were going over at this part of your chart.
Yeah, I think that comes down to a little bit too with sect. I mean, you're a day chart and you've got a strong Saturn, so I don't think you feel it as I definitely feel restricted by it. I know even going just through houses, but I'd have to go back and have a look and see what was happening at different times with Saturn retrograde. But yeah, I do experience it as restrictive.
Well, it is. It's meant to be restrictive. Saturn, you know,
Mm,
Saturn restricts, Jupiter expands. We
mm,
grow with all that. You got to pull back, get rid of things to make
mm,
room for other stuff. So this might be a transformative time, especially with Pluto,
yeah,
hanging around and straddling both Saturn signs. Even
thanks.
though Saturn is not in a Saturn sign, Pluto is.
Mm. And then the new moon on the 18th. Oh, very early hours over there. So the 17th for a lot of the states, and the 18th for the East Coast and other places ahead of it. Oh,
And then we are halfway through the year already.
oh God.
I know.
God, where did it go?
A lot has gone on.
Yeah, so this new moon has its ruler with it because Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury's with the sun and the moon, and it won't be quite under the beams at that stage.
No, seems like a very talkative, new conversations are going to start.
Hmm.
Very cool. Because that's Father's Day here.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we do our Father's Day in September. We have the same Mother's Day as you, but different Father's Day. It's different. It's weird.
It's weird. Not weird, it's just different,
Yeah.
which is nice. I mean, if you don't have differences, then,
Mm.
we'd be bored with each other.
Jupiter can't see the new moon, which is a shame, but Venus can. And Venus will be sextiling that ruler or coming up to sext. Oh, no, actually, Mercury will have passed that. We had that sweet talking aspect earlier,
Yeah.
but they'll still be within degree. Where's Mars? Oh, Mars is up there too. So Mercury's coming up to sextile Mars. Interesting. No, it will be interesting anyway. So,
I think
Donna,
so.
what are you up to and where can people find you?
I am I do natal readings, I do electional readings, horary, as well as I work with crystal layouts. So I do crystal energy healing.
Mhm.
And Lynda, what do you do? And where can people get a hold of you?
I do natal readings, relationship readings, and year ahead readings. And I'm at Scullywag Astrology. That's astrology.scullywag.com. And yeah. So thank
Very
you for
nice.
listening. We really appreciate your comments and your likes and subscribing and sharing. And if you're listening on podcast, please consider rating us. That would be really nice. It helps us get to a wider audience.
And we appreciate it.
Mhm. So I
Thank you.
hope the full moon's very, very nice for you. Ciao.